What's up, crazy cats, and welcome to another episode of Hey, Have You Seen That Film? Which is another ranking video. I love making lists and I love ranking things. I think it's fun, but I also find it extremely hard sometimes, depending on the film series. For some, it's a very easy, this is my number one, this is my bottom one. For other ones, I struggle a lot. And partially because I love all the movies in the franchise, so it makes it really hard for me to pinpoint which ones I like, or why I might like one just a little bit more than another. This film ranking is my bottom one. Okay, well, before I even get to that, the film series I'm about to rank is one of my favorite film series, which I'm not even trying to hide it, because if you're clicking on this video, you obviously know. Today I'm talking about the Indiana Jones film franchise. I love this film franchise. Say what you will about some of the sequels, particularly the fourth one. I enjoyed all of them. With that being said, it's easy. The last place one for me is a little bit easier to pinpoint, but the three of them are a lot harder. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump into it if you haven't guessed already. My number 4 for this franchise is the fourth one, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I actually enjoy this movie. Unlike most people out there who even say that when you talk about the fourth Indiana Jones, will say there's a fourth Indiana Jones. I get it. I get people don't like this movie. And that's your opinion, and I can understand why. I mean, for me, I don't know, it's different. I really did enjoy this one. Is it my favorite one? No. Are there some things that I'm kind of like, ugh. I mean, yes, a lot of it, for me, it's more, okay, the monkey scene, Shia LaBeouf swinging with the monkeys, that was a little ridiculous. Why did we throw that in there? The aliens, I understand people's complaint about that, but actually, this is a fun fact. There are such things as crystal skulls, and nobody knows the meaning behind them. And there actually was a Russian, I can't even think of his name, but he's mentioned in the movie, who was obsessed with these. And he would look for them. And so they were real. I found it interesting that they took a real concept and they made up their own explanation as to what they do. Now, is the explanation my favorite? I mean, I'm not crazy about it, but I still enjoy the movie. I've always said that I think if Indiana Jones was not titled to this film, people would have enjoyed it a lot more. But because it was an Indiana Jones film and they threw in aliens, people have a problem. But for me, it was another adventure following Indiana Jones, our favorite archaeologist, and a great way to escape. I don't think Shia LaBeouf was bad. I know people hate him in this movie, but I didn't think he was bad. I thought he was a better mix of what Harrison Ford's son and Karen Allen, who's Marion's son, should look like, compared to Han Solo and Leia's son ending up being Adam Driver. No offense to the guy, but that doesn't make sense. Shia LaBeouf makes more sense to me. And I know people complain about the atomic bomb and the refrigerator scene, and I get that, but also, why do we go to the movies? To see the unbelievable, or things that not everyday things see it happen. Now, yes, I get it. That'd probably kill you, but still, it's like, I was just there to escape. And that's what the movie allowed me to do. I wanted to enjoy 2 hours of an adventure film and travel across the globe. And that's what Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull did. Now, if you have a different opinion, I completely understand that. And I don't blame you. I get that. I know I'm in the minority here, but I actually don't mind the fourth one. But it is my number 4. Okay. Now we get to where it got a little bit harder for me. But my number 3, I think, is going to shock people, and some people might get upset, but again, this is my list. I would love to hear what you have to say about your list. But this is mine, so don't freak out. Coming at number 3 is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I know. The best thing about this movie is the father and son relationship and Sean Connery being Henry Jones Sr. So I love that aspect of it, and I really do love this movie. It was, for me, it was like, oh my goodness, I'm putting this at number 3, but I only have 4 films to pick from, so it's, it's a little bit hard, but I would, and it's not even that a complaint. The one thing about The Last Crusade that I think just nudged it down just a little bit for me is that it's, in a way, just like Raiders. I think they went a little, they realized that Temple of Doom was a little too dark and a little too heavy for some people, so they played it safe and they went back to the original. Now, they switched up the story completely, but they're still looking for a biblical artifact, and there's Nazis, but the story is different, so that's nice. It's not like we're completely watching Raiders all over again, but it's like we took kind of the same ideas of Raiders and threw them in. But again, that's not much of a complaint because it's such a great movie, and it's really is shocking because it was the first one I ever saw. Last Crusade was the first Indiana Jones movie I ever saw. But I think number 3 is where it's going to be at. And again, Sean Connery is perfect for the role of Indiana Jones' dad. I loved him in it. I loved everything about it. I loved the tank scene at the end, and thinking he's lost him, and then he's still alive, and they hug, and Indy just gives that small smile, like, oh, this is so nice, Dad. And then he just, let's go. We gotta keep moving. But yeah, it's gonna be number 3, and I know it's the first 3 are just so classic that it's hard for me to pinpoint them. But coming in at number 2. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yes, this movie is perfect. I do say that. I do love Raiders of the Lost Ark. But I want to throw out there that anyone who calls it Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark is false. That's not what it's called. It is called Raiders of the Lost Ark. I want to reach out to the DVD company who made them. I have it sitting right here on my shelf, and it says Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but that's not what it's called. It was originally called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's what we should call it, people. Anyways, I love Raiders of the Lost Ark. For the longest time, it was my favorite Indiana Jones movie, and every once in a while, it kind of nudges back up there. The first 3 kind of bounce around, and maybe if I rewatch them again, it'll change. But Raiders is so good. I love that Steven Spielberg, if you don't kind of know the backstory, he loves the James Bond movies, and he wanted to make one, but they thought he was too science fiction-y, so they're like, no. And then he was sitting down with George Lucas one day, having lunch or whatever, just hanging out, and George Lucas is like, hey, let me tell you about this character or this idea I've been playing around with. And they both kind of collaborated and created Indiana Jones, and they based it off of the old B movies that used to, back in the 30s and the 40s, these adventure movies that aren't very popular, but you could go see it for so cheap. And that's how they got the idea for Raiders of the Lost Ark. Is they took a bunch of those old movies that they loved seeing themselves, and they made it more modern, or they just made an updated version for us, which we're all super thankful for. And you can't beat Marion. She's a classic. Out of all the Indiana Jones girls, she's my favorite one. I think she's so cool, and I'm glad that she came back for the 4th one. But yeah, I guess, again, Raiders is perfect. You can't play around with that. And people have tried to copy it. It spurred so much of this whole adventure treasure hunting in the 80s. but nothing ever came close to it. I mean, I'd say that the only thing that I think was somewhat is successful, and I love it, but I don't think it's as good as Indiana Jones, is Romancing the Stone. Would be the only other adventure movie from the 80s that really still resonates with people. And then there's other films like King Solomon's Mine with Sharon Stone and Richard Chamberlain nobody talks about that still. I'm sure more than half the people who are watching this are going to be like, what is that film? Go look it up. It's a thing. I've seen it. Now, moving to my number one, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be scratching their heads at why, but it's Temple of Doom. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The sequel is where they started with the Indiana Jones. So from then on out, you can call the rest of that first one Raiders. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Before I delve into why I love it, I'll say it. Yes, I know that people have a problem with Willie Scott, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. She screams way too much. You know, a little bit wouldn't have been bad, but she does a lot of it. So I understand why, from that aspect, some people... My wife, she won't watch Temple of Doom with me because of Willie Scott. She doesn't mind the rest of the movie, but Willie Scott's a no-go for her. So it's like, it's every few years that she might watch it with me. We've watched it once. Last time I watched all the Indiana Jones movies, she watched all of them but that one. So, now that we have Willie Scott out of the way, Temple of Doom. I know it's dark. I know it's a very dark movie. I'm not a dark person. I don't want that to come across that way. Why I love Temple of Doom is because they dared to be different from the first one. And that's really what it was. They could have made Last Crusade next. They could have gone for another biblical artifact, which would have been awesome. I love that they do the whole biblical artifacts and that it's really cool. But I love that in this one, they went to a whole different storyline. It was a treasure hunt, but a rescue mission. But the intent wasn't the rescue mission. I don't know. Well, yes, it was, I guess. I don't know. I love the relationship between Indiana and Short Round. I think Short Round's cool. I think he makes me laugh a lot. But I love their whole... I love this scene where they're playing poker together. And, you cheat, Dr. Jones, you cheat. I love that. It makes me laugh. But I like Temple of Doom. Like I said, it dared to be different. It tried to go out somewhere else. Did that work? For some people like me, yes. And people love the original trilogy, but Temple of Doom usually isn't their number one. And I love the rescuing of the children, and I love the whole escaping the mines and the bridge. There's just a lot about this film that's exciting and that I enjoy. Again, it bounces back between Raiders and Temple of Doom and sometimes Last Crusade, but right now Temple of Doom is my favorite. It has been for a while. I think so much about it is fun and different, and that's what I love about Temple of Doom. So that's my ranking. And I guarantee so many of you will have a very different ranking because most people do not put Temple of Doom number one. But if you do, cool. I'd love to know why. But I'd also love to know how you would rank the films. You may be very different, and that's cool. I want to hear your opinions. So feel free to share, and thank you for watching. And if you have another film franchise that you'd like me to say something about, go ahead and message me. I'd love to either check it out or give you my thoughts. And yeah, appreciate you watching. Take care. Bye.